Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing the iPod mini. As you can see, this is a second generation iPod mini. I want to give a little bit of facts that are going on here. So this thing was released in January 2004 and was discontinued on February of 2005. So this thing pretty much lasted for a year and 1 month. And this was the first ever iPod to have the click wheel, as we can see here, because the previous generation, the third generation, had like the solid state kind of wheel, but all these like buttons, the menu, rewind, forward, and play pause, they were at the top and they were backlit. And also, this was the last iPod to have a monochrome screen before we switched over to the LCDs. In my opinion, I love the monochrome screen. Like, you can even use this without the backlight, and it's clear in bright areas. It's awesome. And also, it just kind of gives an old feeling for this thing. So, the iPod mini came out in 5 colors. You have silver, you have gold, pink, green, and blue. That was for the first generation that came out in February of 2004. But gold was discontinued on the second generation, which again is the one I have here, but this one's in silver. The second generation also came with a 6GB option. But back when the first generation was out, the 4GB was the only option. So you got 2 more gigabytes of storage, which you could like get another 500 songs on there. And also another thing that stands out from the second generation compared to the first is these click wheel buttons here. They match the housing, which if I had a colored one, you could see that. A little bit about this guy is the iPod mini can hold up to 1,000 songs in 128 kilobit files, which if you know how to convert them, you could easily get a lot of music on here. Ignore my name. I gotta get the hard drive replaced in this thing. I don't know how it still works, but it still does. So let's go ahead and take a look around this guy. So we can start with our music. You can see I have Def Leppard's Hysteria. I have like the greatest hits CD and part of the album, but I did not want to take off the greatest hits, so I just combined into a playlist, and that works for me. We don't really have much music on here, but we got a lot of stuff. Oh yeah. If you remember these songs, let me know in the comments. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the music. And as for extra, we have a clock here, which is pretty cool. You can also set an alarm, which you can, the clicker on here will beep, but it's not that loud of a beep. Or you can have it set up to play music if you like dock it, if you put it in a dock, or have something plugged into the headphones. You can also set the time for when the alarm goes off. You also have the sleep timer, which is pretty explanatory. When you play music, after a certain amount of time, it will stop playing. Then for contacts, you can store contacts on here, pretty cool. And you can see a sample here of what that would look like. And you also have a calendar here, which is pretty cool. You can also add calendar files here too, so you can put in events. But you can look up how to do that online if you're interested. You also have notes here. You can also put text files in here, which to do that, you just plug in the iPod into enable for disk use, and then you just drag and drop it into the notes folder. Pretty easy to do. And then you have 4 games on here. You got Brick, Music Quiz, Parachute, and Solitaire. Let's play a little bit of Brick. I keep dying. Kinda Come on, that's it. Come on. Ah. Well, I only got 3. What do you think? Then we got music quiz, which I don't have headphones plugged in, but what music quiz does is it mostly you just quiz on what. I'm just gonna pick a random one. Nah, I got it wrong. Okay. And then you got parachute, which just start this. Oops, can't really see what's going on. Which all you really just do is make sure that none of these touch your thing, but it's kind of hard to do. So yeah. Then you also have solitaire. I find this kind of difficult to play, as I can see that. You mostly rely on the shapes, and yeah, there's a little bit of a tint between the red and the black ones, but it's pretty difficult to tell without the backlight on. You kind of can see that. And that's pretty much it for the extra section. Now for settings, you can change what's on the main menu, which is this one here. I haven't changed anything, so this is what it looks like by default. You can also set it up to shuffle or repeat all across the iPod. Also a backlight timer, which it's off, which means the backlight's off. You also get an EQ, which I prefer to leave this off, as it can cause clipping, which is, instead of lowering the overall volume, it actually raises it. So in that case, I just prefer to leave it off. Soundcheck tries to normalize the volume of all of the tracks, but it doesn't really do a good job, so I just leave it off. You can also adjust the contrast here of the screen, pretty cool. And then you can have the clicker. You listen to that. Pretty cool. And then you can set date, time, and read through legal stuff if you were bored. There's a lot of stuff you could read on here. Oh well. So that pretty much concludes it for the iPod mini 2nd generation. What do you guys think? What do you think about this iPod? Let me know what you think in the comments. See you in another video.